Imagine being 18 years old and already terrified, not of death, failure, or poverty, but of something far stranger, living an entirely ordinary life. Most people fear the physical end of their timeline, but there is a second kind of ending, a social death, that exact moment when the very last person on Earth speaks your name. One specific mythological figure obsessed this young prince, Achilles. According to the stories of the Trojan War, Achilles was given a choice. He could have a long, comfortable, forgotten life, or a short, brutal existence filled with glory, ensuring his name survived the centuries. Achilles chose glory, and the young prince, long before he became known as Alexander, the Great, fell completely in love with that choice. He began dreaming of an immortality that exists only inside the minds of future generations. But a hunger for legacy is a dangerous starting point for power. Once an obsession takes hold, it demands constant sacrifices. You begin trading away your present reality for the sake of an entirely imagined future. By age 22, Alexander was marching his army into Asia. He was leading them directly into the territory of the Persian Empire, the greatest organized power in the known world. Then he started winning, over and over again, and cities fell and kings surrendered. For his men, doing the impossible quickly became a routine expectation. The entire Persian Empire was completely destroyed by a young conqueror barely old enough to grow a beard. A centuries-old superpower collapsed under the overwhelming momentum of Alexander's forces. With the Persian throne empty and the empire secured, any other king would have returned home to rule. Instead, Alexander looked east, past the edge of the maps. He traded the security of a conquered throne for the uncertainty of the next horizon, as if the victory itself had already lost its luster. He wasn't chasing land, he was chasing significance. And significance is a moving horizon. The closer you get to it, the further away it retreats. He marched his forces further into deserts and mountains, pushing deep into India. They were now standing in places no Greek army had ever seen. But his soldiers were breaking. They were homesick, physically destroyed, and desperate to return. They had reached their absolute physical and emotional limits, while Alexander wanted to keep going. This is the peril of an ambition lacking a finish line. History celebrates a relentless drive, but rarely asks what happens when the conqueror becomes a captive to their own need for one more victory. He had achieved a level of power almost unmatched in human history. For a brief moment, there was no army more feared, and no man alive more famous. Yet, despite claiming the known world, he could not satisfy a hunger that came from within. Eventually, his army refused to go any further, and he was forced to turn back. Alexander's life serves as a laboratory for the human soul, revealing a truth most people spend their lives avoiding. Many people secretly harbor a specific belief: I'll be happy when I make more money, when I hit the goal, when I finally arrive. Alexander reveals what happens when someone actually arrives at the destination most people only dream of. Reaching the absolute peak of human influence didn't silence the insecurity that drove him there. Achievement can quiet doubt for a little while. Fame can mask a feeling of insignificance for a little while. But inevitably, the noise returns the moment the next mountain appears. The goal hasn't moved. The desire has. Not long after turning back from India, Alexander died. He was 32 years old, younger than many people watching this video. The man who conquered the known world was suddenly just gone. There was no final campaign, no final horizon, just silence. He got exactly what he wanted, to be remembered, but he never found satisfaction, which leaves us with a difficult question. How much of your life is truly being driven by what you want, and how much are you chasing because you are afraid of being ordinary? If a man can conquer the entire world and still feel an endless need for one more victory, then perhaps the greatest conquest was never the world outside. Perhaps it was the mastery of the self, the one territory Alexander never secured.